Native English speakers use these idioms every single day, but 99% of learners completely fail this emoji test. Can you decode the hidden meaning before the timer runs out? Let's find out if you're an English genius. 1. What idiom does this represent? The idiom on cloud nine means to be extremely happy or ecstatic. It is a fixed prepositional phrase. So options like cloud number 9 or 9 clouds high are grammatically and structurally incorrect in common usage. 2. What idiom does this represent? Raining cats and dogs is a classic English idiom meaning it is raining heavily. The order is strictly fixed as cats and dogs, making dogs and cats structurally incorrect as an idiom. 3. What idiom does this represent? Cakewalk means something very easy to accomplish. While a piece of cake has a similar meaning, the presence of the walking person emoji points directly to the compound noun cakewalk. 4. What idiom does this represent? To have ants in your pants means to be physically restless or unable to sit still due to excitement or anxiety. The literal translation of the emojis matches this common idiom perfectly, rendering the distractors invalid. 5. What idiom does this represent? To get cold feet means to suddenly become too nervous to do something important you had planned, like getting married. It is a metaphorical expression, not a literal description of temperature. 6. What idiom does this represent? When pigs fly is an idiom functioning as a subordinate clause to state that something will never happen. It is a hyperbolic figure of speech relying on an impossible scenario. 7. What idiom does this represent? Equals. Time is money is a famous proverb equating time to a valuable financial resource that should not be wasted. The equal sign clearly indicates the verb is connecting the two nouns. 8. What idiom does this represent? The apple of my eye refers to someone whom you cherish above all others. It is an ancient metaphor. The distractors take the emojis to literally and do not form recognized English idioms. 9. What idiom does this represent? Zip your lip is an informal idiomatic imperative commanding someone to stop talking or to keep a secret. The zipper emoji explicitly signifies the verb zip. 10. What idiom does this represent? A broken heart is a universal metaphor acting as a compound noun for intense emotional pain or suffering, especially after losing a romantic relationship. 11. What idiom does this represent? The elephant in the room refers to an obvious problem or controversial issue that people awkwardly avoid discussing. The distractors miss the metaphorical setting of the room where the social tension occurs. 12. What idiom does this represent? Having butterflies in your stomach is a prepositional idiom meaning feeling intensely nervous or anxious. The specific noun butterflies is required. Bugs or moths breaks the established phrase. 13. What idiom does this represent? To hit the nail on the head means to describe exactly what is causing a situation or to be perfectly accurate. The imagery perfectly aligns with a hammer striking a nail. Not just any generic target. 14. What idiom does this represent? A fish out of water is a noun phrase functioning as an idiom to describe a person who feels uncomfortable because they are in an unfamiliar situation or environment. 15. What idiom does this represent? Cat got your tongue is a rhetorical question asked to someone who is unusually quiet or refuses to speak. It drops the auxiliary verb has for informal brevity. 16. What idiom does this represent? Walking on eggshells is a continuous verb phrase meaning to be very careful not to offend someone or trigger a volatile situation. The specific noun eggshells emphasizes the fragility of the situation. 17. What idiom does this represent? To spill the beans means to reveal secret information unintentionally or indiscreetly. The specific noun beans is required. Substituting it with peas or seeds destroys the idiom. 18. What idiom does this represent? Speak of the devil is an exclamation used when a person appears just after being mentioned in conversation. It is a shortened form of speak of the devil and he doth appear. 19. What idiom does this represent? If something costs an arm and a leg, it is extremely expensive. This hyperbolic idiom uses specific body parts to represent a high personal sacrifice or cost. 20. What idiom does this represent? A bed of roses refers to a comfortable, easy, or pleasant situation. It is almost exclusively used in negative constructions, such as life is no bed of roses. 21. What idiom does this represent? Once in a blue moon is an adverbial phrase of frequency meaning something happens very rarely. The distractors only describe the literal visual without capturing the idiomatic meaning of time. 22. What idiom does this represent? Hearing something straight from the horse's mouth means getting information directly from the source or highest authority, ensuring its accuracy. 23. What idiom does this represent? Kick the bucket is an informal, slang idiom serving as a euphemism for dying. The noun bucket is fixed. Pail or container cannot be substituted. 24. What idiom does this represent? To keep it under your hat means to keep something a secret. The verb keep is essential to the idiom, making option an incomplete phrase. 25. What idiom does this represent? Barking up the wrong tree is an idiom meaning to be completely mistaken about the reason for something or the way to achieve a goal. The verb barking must be used with up the wrong tree. 26. What idiom does this represent? To have bats in the belfry is an older idiom meaning someone is crazy or eccentric. A belfry is a bell tower, acting as a metaphor for a person's head. 27. What idiom does this represent? A fox in the henhouse refers to a situation where someone who is known to be dangerous or deceitful is given access to a vulnerable group or situation. 28. What idiom does this represent? To catch lightning in a bottle means to capture something incredibly elusive and powerful, or to achieve a highly unlikely and temporary success. 29. What idiom does this represent? To throw caution to the wind means to act in a completely reckless manner. Ignoring any potential risks, the trash emoji represents throwing away or discarding. The caution sign into the wind. 30. What idiom does this represent? 9. A stitch in time saves 9 is a proverb meaning it is better to fix a small problem immediately than wait until it becomes a massive issue. It relies on the imagery of mending torn fabric.